All right, some 49ers breaking news on this morning. They are signing a couple of offensive players. Two of the players whom we listed yesterday having worked out with San Francisco. Andy Isabella, wide receiver, drafted by the Arizona Cardinals, and Ameer Abdullah, who was last with the Raiders. He's a running back and a kick returner. Both of these guys are 5'9". Both of these guys, good athletic scores coming out of college. They're both older players. They're here to help the 49ers at thinner positions in the middle of training camp. The dog days are essentially upon us. San Francisco is going to practice in a couple hours, and ever since they waived Israel Bonaconda at running back, that room has been a little bit thinner for training camp. We know that Jordan James didn't practice the other day, so we'll see if he's got anything wrong with him. But in general, the 49ers have needed more runners in that running back room. That's where Ameer Abdullah comes in. And at wide receiver, we know that they've been generally thin throughout all of camp because of the injuries there. Jawan Jennings has missed a couple practices, so Andy Isabella can help the 49ers move through. Isabella is 28 years old, and you may remember him from the 2019 season when he was a rookie with the Arizona Cardinals coming out of UMass. That Halloween night game that we've seemed to have been talking about a lot lately because Robert Saleh brought it up just a couple days ago as an example of a learning moment for him and a big learning moment for the 49ers defense. Andy Isabella had an 88-yard touchdown with just over 5 minutes to go in that game to keep it interesting against a very, very gassed 49ers defense. Caught a deep out pattern from Kyler Murray and then just took off, ran past all the 49ers. That is Andy Isabella's career-long play, 88 yards. And he could move. He wasn't a bad athlete coming out of UMass, and the Cardinals had him there paired with Kyler Murray. That was his biggest season early on for Andy Isabella, his rookie season. Most recently was with the St. Louis Battlehawks. He wasn't with the NFL this past year. He's 28 years old, and he's going to round out the 49ers depth in that receiving room. We'll take a look at the depth chart in just a second. Ameer Abdullah, meanwhile, last with the Raiders, last year actually was decently productive for the Raiders. He's 32. He's been around the league for a while. Back in 2015, Ameer Abdullah led the entire NFL in kick return yards. He returned some kicks for the Raiders last year, and he also rushed the football a little bit, about 300 yards for the Raiders. So it wasn't like he was just exclusively limited to special teams. This is somebody that Brant Boyer can immediately plug in to the kick returning rotation. Remember, the 49ers aren't too far from their first preseason game. That's going to be against the Denver Broncos in just over a week. So you're going to have players who can execute in special teams as well to be able to get through not only these practices, but the preseason games. Now, I know that Abdullah is 32 now, but when he first came out of Nebraska, this was his spider chart. This is a percentile measurement. Just worth looking at what was the makeup of the kick return yardage leader in the NFL as a rookie in 2015, back when Abdullah was definitely moving this fast. And I mean, the guy was at the top in terms of his just straight line speed and you could see the shuttle times, his ability to move, his ability to move in short areas with the 3-cone drill, his explosiveness with the broad jump, his explosiveness with the vertical jump, and also strong with his bench press. So Ameer Abdullah, it's funny. You rarely see this imbalanced of a spider chart. He's heavy on the good percentile scores for the shuttles, the 3-cone, and the explosiveness drills, and also strength for the bench press, but obviously didn't bring great size to the table at 5'9", 205. But often that's what you like in a running back and a specialist. He's built like a block of muscle, and he's able to produce like it in that bench press as well. How many reps was that on the bench press for Ameer? 24 reps, 5'9", 205. So definitely came out of Nebraska built like a tank and has had himself a nice little NFL career. Has been around since 2015. Let's take a look at where these guys are going to fit in. The 49ers are going to have to make a couple roster moves here to make room. So I say the 49ers are signing Isabella and Abdullah. This is according to Jordan Schultz. The reason I say that they're signing these guys and not that they've signed them is because it's not official yet. And I would assume this is going to be official and announced by the 49ers before the time that practice starts today at 10:25. So as you can see here on my roster, San Francisco is currently filled up 90 men out of the maximum allowable 90 men. So when you fill in here at the wide receiver room with Andy Isabella, we can put his name in there, but we're going to have to make the corresponding cut a bit later. We've got a little bit of a spot here to put Andy Isabella. What are they going to do as a corresponding move? Is anybody going to be cut? If you put somebody on IR right now, they would have to be exposed to waivers before they could return to the football team and play in 2025. So, and there's no such thing as putting somebody on PUP if they didn't start training camp on PUP. So that ship has sailed. They're taking a 90-man roster spot now unless they go on injured reserve, which would compromise their availability to the 49ers for the 2025 season. So we'll see if there are any injuries in this receiving room. We'll see if there are any cuts in this receiving room. As of right now, on the 90-man, the 49ers have 3, 6, 9, 12, 14 bodies in that wide receiver room. I'm putting Andy Isabella at the very back of it. Now we can look at Ameer Abdullah at the running back position. So here I've run out of room in the running back row. This is what I had to do when Israel Abanikanda was with the 49ers. I had to put him in the fullback row, and then I had to just denote that he's a running back just because it's crowded, just like the 49ers locker room right now is crowded because it's set up for 53 men over the course of the regular season, plus the 16 on the practice squad. But during training camp, when you've got 90 guys plus, because there's also guys on some injury lists that you have to fit into that locker room, you've got to expand it. You have to have some temporary lockers. So just like 49ers have to have some temporary lockers to fit all these players, I have to have some temporary spots on the 90-man depth chart to fit all of these additions. So as you can see here, Abdullah, we're going to see if there's something wrong with Jordan James today. He did miss practice the other day, but I hate reporting or speculating on an injury until we actually know if there is an injury. So that's why we're in a holding pattern regarding Jordan James. In general, you want a lot of running backs, especially if you're taking it easy on Christian McCaffrey over the course of training camp to make sure that he's fresh for the season. You're going to want a lot of these running backs to be available for you over the course of camp, just to take those reps. Again, we are approaching the dog days of training camp. So for that reason, beyond McCaffrey, you've got Garendo. We'll see about Jordan James, Patrick Taylor Jr., Corey Kiner, and now you add Ameer Abdullah to the room. That's a spot that Israel Abanikanda had up until the 49ers waived him a few days ago. And then in that receiver room, we talk about all of the uncertainty at the top. We're waiting for Jauan Jennings and that calf issue that's kept him out for a couple practices. We're not expecting to see Brandon Ayuk at all until the regular season, and some point into the regular season, not even week 1. Ricky Pearsall has been out there, but they're making sure that they're managing his load appropriately. DeMarcus Robinson has been out there. Jordan Watkinson has looked really good for the 49ers. Jacob Cowing is out for over another week with the hamstring issue. So you've got a lot of issues in this receiver room that the 49ers are filling up with opportunities for younger guys and for veterans like a Russell Gage. And they felt that they needed another body. And that's why Andy Isabella, the 5'9" receiver, formerly out of UMass, will be joining the 49ers. So that is a look at the signings this morning. As you guys know, this is how training camp works. You're constantly fighting this battle to make sure that you keep the team fresh at the margins of the roster, because that's going to impact how you perform at the very top end of the roster. Christian McCaffrey is getting days off here and there. Ricky Pearsall is getting days off here and there. The 49ers are running load management as well as they can, and they have a lot of reps to fill so they can run the competitions that they do need to run to make this a productive training camp. Practice today, I'm assuming the full pads are going to be back on, but occasionally sometimes the 49ers are just in shells. We'll see how they do this. They're coming off the off day, so there is a load management schedule in that way as well. I'm assuming that tomorrow is going to be the longest practice of the block. It's the middle of the three practices, and then they're going to be back out there on Saturday to wrap up the 3-day block. I'm actually going to be in the facility now 7 days in a row because even though there is a day off for the players in between the two upcoming blocks of practice, the assistant coaches are going to have their interview sessions with us on Sunday. So that's actually a really, really informative day. It's going to happen a couple weeks into training camp after the 49ers have gone through a couple blocks of practices with pads. And we're going to be able to talk to guys like Chris Kasarik. I think that's going to be a great one. Chris Furster on the offensive line side is going to be really nice as well. We'll be able to see what their opinion is, how some of these players are progressing. So that is the morning news. Andy Isabella, Ameer Abdullah. I will open it up to some questions before I have to head on down to Santa Clara. We'll see if the train's on time. I'm taking the train today, 8:25 a.m. There was a fire on the trackway on BART last week on my way back to the city, so that created a little bit of a complication getting back to San Francisco. Knock on wood, none of that this time, and we'll make it down to training camp practice in time. They say 8:25 a.m. It's 8:10. I think I'll make it. I think I'll be good, but we can answer a couple of questions. David has always liked Andy. Well, he's a 49er now, and he's going to be competing at training camp. Shane says, I hope they don't try to sneak onto the practice squad the younger, hungrier, cheaper guys rather than cutting ties with older mid-level guys because they're owed money. That's not how it works. They don't have the NFL doesn't have that many contracts with guaranteed money. The guys with guaranteed money are essentially shoe-ins to make the roster, and not because they are just being forced there because of the guaranteed money, but because they're being compensated in that way because they're one of the 53 best players on this team. There are a lot of non-guaranteed contracts in the NFL. Any maneuvers that the 49ers make with the practice squad or the bottom of the roster will not have anything to do with finances. I assure you of that. This league is still very, very team friendly when it comes to the deals outside of the superstar players. Frank gets it. Isabella's an experienced wide receiver. They're stockpiling as much talent as possible. And they're also just trying to get through these practices with some veteran maturity in the room. I mean, you talk about somebody like Isaiah Nair. He's a rookie. You talk about Tariq Owens in his second year. You talk about Junior Bergen, rookie. Jordan Watkins, rookie. You've got a lot of young guys, a lot of opportunity there. Never hurts to bring in receiver if you need the body in that room, somebody with some scheme experience, somebody who's been around the NFL, somebody who can set an example for how to carry yourself in that locker room. You're getting through tough days of training camp, and it just so happens that the receiver the 49ers just added in Andy Isabella is somebody who they're familiar with because he was drafted into the NFC West. He had that 88-yard touchdown against the 49ers on Halloween night in 2019. Smash that like button. Yes. Do that. Also, make sure that you've hit that notification bell. I think that's really important. So you're notified whenever there's breaking news like this. Jamie asks, any news on Jeff Wilson Jr.? This means that they're not currently planning to sign Jeff Wilson Jr. Jeff was part of the tryout yesterday that included Ameer Abdullah and Andy Isabella. Obviously, the 49ers have picked Ameer Abdullah ahead of Jeff Wilson Jr., their former running back. Now, that doesn't rule out a signing in the future. I will tell you, last year, the 49ers were in the same kind of pattern in training camp, and they worked out Matt Breida. And I don't think they immediately signed him. I think they signed somebody else. But then a few days later, when they needed another running back, because that's just the way the training camp works, they did sign Matt Breida. So they brought an old friend back. So I wouldn't close the book yet on Jeff Wilson Jr., who had that reunion with the 49ers yesterday in the tryout, but not a re-signing yet with the 49ers. I get team-friendly contracts is a question, but why have a dead year in a contract that will almost always bring bumps into a season? Are you talking about the salary cap hits? So why have void years at the end of because you're stretching out the salary cap hits. So you could add years that are void years in contracts to handle the salary cap load in the future. If the cap is rising year over year and you can carry over unused space, it just makes sense. The 49ers and the Eagles are the two teams that are doing this most efficiently in the league. It's like it's accountants taking advantage of a loophole in the NFL. And I think the 49ers have used it to great effectiveness over their time. All right, train leaves in 11 minutes. Do you guys think I could make it? No, I think I could answer a couple more questions. Margot will be coming onto the show. She's currently not in town, but she should be in town very soon. So we'll let you know that you're banging on the door, trying to get Margot on the show. That will make her happy. But at the current moment, she is unable to come onto the show because she's out of town. But we'll have her on at some point soon. Yeah, you even suggested Margot Mondays. That will happen at some point soon. Don't worry. What happened to Trent Taylor? Injured reserve. An injury for Trent Taylor sent him to IR, so he's likely not going to play for the 49ers this season. He would have to be released and then brought back. He'd have to be exposed to the waiver wire of the whole league. And, I'm sure that there's a chance that he'd be able to re-sign with the 49ers after that. But you could see all the numbers San Francisco has in that receiver room. And if Trent's not healthy, then that question should answer itself. All right. I'm headed down to practice. 49ers have signed Andy Isabella and Ameer Abdullah. Couple new players, corresponding moves coming soon. We'll have the helmet update after practice, so hit that notification bell so you're ready for that to roll in, and I'll have everything for you from that practice field. So subscribe, notification button, all that good stuff. We will talk to you guys very soon.